So I am Steve Santamaria from Folio Photonics. I'm the CEO. I moved to Cleveland last April, okay? And so let's talk a little bit about my journey here. So as I said, I went to college. I grew up in Pittsburgh, and I went to college, Allegheny College, and went through typical undergrad degree. I have a degree in economics and English literature, minors in biology and chemistry. I was pre-med until I realized that I don't like squishy things and blood and liquid. And frankly, I don't like people that much, so I don't make a good doctor. So I was taking classes, and there was a computer science class, and I had a gap to fill, so I filled it. I took that class, and that changed my entire life. So I went from Allegheny, and I got my first job out of school. I went to work for Mellon Bank, and I worked in the computer division of Mellon Bank, and we did all the background processing, and I wrote code. And that's when I decided I don't like to write code. And so I left that business, I quit, and I started jumping around various technology companies. So Ceridian, PTC, US Connect, Giga, Clarify, all these different companies. Half of them were startups, a lot of them were big companies. It just gave me a great exposure to the world, you know, and that stat hit home. 15 jobs, I probably had that easily, right? As I went around in sales, until I was with a company called iCat, and then this thing happened. You might not remember it, but like in 1999, the market crashed, the whole internet.com boom hit, and no one had jobs. Things were like really tight. And just then, as Intel bought my company. So I went to Intel, and they actually moved me to to Seattle, Washington at the time. And I spent 14 years at Intel. And I never thought that I would be there for 14 years, but they just kept the job so interesting. So you talk about continually learning. They're the ones that sent me to Harvard. They sent me to Stanford. I went to Shenzhen University in China. I traveled the world. I did all these different things, exposed to a lot of different technologies, and kind of moved up the ranks till I was quite senior at Intel, and I quit and decided to start my own company. So I've had 3 startups. I'm on my 3rd one now. The first one was WebTuner. So if you have an Amazon Fire Stick at home, you know, you put that in, you can stream video to your TV from your phone. We had the competing product to that, and we lost, obviously. I wouldn't be here, I'd be in the Bahamas. But then I started Envelop VR, which is a virtual reality company. So anybody here into virtual reality? I had a VR company in Seattle for 3.5 years, and we sold that off. And I was looking for my next thing to do when I got recruited by Case Western to come and lead a startup that was founded and spun out of Case. It's headquartered in Solon. At the time, I'm thinking, Cleveland, do I really want to go back there? But my wife is from here. She's from Twinsburg, her whole family's here. If you've gone to the Yours Truly or the Aladdin's Bakery, those are all her cousins, and she wanted me back by family, and I have a good friend network here, so here I am, and I moved back. They call me a boomerang. I went to the West Coast, and I came back, and all that brings me to where we are today. So we're going to talk today a little bit about blockchain, talk about the conference, and talk about being an entrepreneur. All right, historic paradigm shift. So you know what a paradigm is? It's when you're used to doing things one way, and then something happens, and it changes overnight. And you know, we talk about space travel. You saw that video. You've heard about it. But when I look at it, there have been really 4 fundamental paradigm shifts. Let's talk about them. One was that, if you recognize that, that's the printing press. And that was invented by Johann Gutenberg in the 1400s. And what that did, so yeah, you can print paper, you make books, but what it did is it democratized education. You realize that prior to that, all books were written by hand. Teachers were kept on the staff of the rich people. There was no education for people. You did not learn. The printing press democratized it, and all of a sudden now the whole population could learn and have newspapers and understand what's going on, and fundamentally change the world. It became what they call the Age of Enlightenment. And they come up with great names when these things happen, right? The second one, if you recognize that, that's a steam engine invented by Watt, okay, in 1775. And this had profound implications too, because prior to the steam engine, your wealth it's really about power. How much money you had is how much horsepower you had, how many manpower, which gave rise to institutions like slavery, right, and colonialism. But also the steam engine comes up, and you don't need to have 100 horses or 1,000 slaves. The engine does it for you. And that fundamentally changed. It took years for it to be adopted, but it changed everything that you see and do. The rise of the factory and changed the whole economics. We move from an agrarian society, we move into an industrial, the rise of the cities, and that's the Industrial Revolution. The third one, that's the Intel 4004 chip, right? And began the beginning of the information age. So when it started, all of a sudden now you have computers and you could do things, and the internet and all those great economics happened. And started, now you guys are living through that right now. You're in the process where you have more compute power in your phone than most people had in those days in a mainframe. And now we're at blockchain, okay? So this was invented in 2008. Now each of these fundamentally changed the world. It changed education, it changed the use of power, information, and blockchain, what it does, it's gonna change the way we trust and how this works. So I don't want to go into, if you did any homework assignment before here about distributed ledgers and all these different things about blockchain technology, I have kind of an example. Does anybody out here have a car? Raise your hand. Who has a car? Come up here. What's your name? Yeah. Zach? What kind of car you have?
Ford.
You have Ford what?
Fusion.
Okay, I want you to sell it to me. How much does it cost?
I don't know.
Just take a guess. Give me a number. 8,000? All right. 8,000. Here's an IOU. Take it. I signed it. Give me your keys.
No.
Why not? Because you fundamentally don't trust me, right? How about if I take out my checkbook? Here's a key bank checkbook, and I'll write you a check, right? Or better yet, I can use a credit card. These are all institutions of trust that have arisen so that we can do this basic transaction, right? And this is what blockchain does. And you have to look at it more than just it's just this financial transaction. You can sit down. Thank you very much, Josh. You got to look at the problem that we just had in that little interaction. A, he wouldn't give me the car because A, you didn't know if I had the money in my, right? You're not going to take a piece of paper, IOU, none. A little naughty never hurt nobody from a Christmas party, right? Napkin, you won't do it, right? You don't know who I am, right? And on the same token, me, I don't even know if that is a Ford. I don't know what kind of car you have. I don't know if you own that car. You could have came from Hertz Rental Car and just sold me the car for 8,000 bucks. You'd have been happy. I'd have been very disappointed. But when you look at blockchain, it gives you an ability now to kind of resolve those challenges and those issues, because there are these great big institutions in between this transaction between he and I. There are banks, there are governments, there are title agencies. All these different people you pay money for to prove out this transaction, right? That's why Key Bank is there. They say, yep, we'll check it. Steve has 8,000 in the bank. I will transfer it. It's going to take 3 days. By the way, I take a piece of that transaction. That's why they have that great big building down the road, right? That's what financial service companies do. When you think of, if you buy a house, you go through this entire titling process. It takes about 30 days. You pay a couple $1,000s. And all they're doing is they're proving that the seller actually owns the house. And they're going to sign off on it and say, hey, Mr. Buyer, he owns the house, and we're going to transfer that title to you. Now you own it, and they're going to check that record and save that. Now they're going to charge you a couple $1,000s. It takes 30 days. Why? These are the kind of efficiencies that we've just grown to accept that have grown up around, technology and just ability to do transactions. And that's what blockchain can help resolve. How many people here like Caesar salad? Have you had any romaine lettuce in the last week? You know what happened? Somebody tell me what happened. It was the E. coli, right? So there are 4 E. coli cases in Northeast US. And because that happened, they told every retailer, every grocery store, every restaurant out there to destroy all of their lettuce. Throw it away. Can't eat it. Because I have no idea whether it's healthy or not. So it's gone. So if you read about a month ago, Walmart just published, they said they're going to use a blockchain app to track the E. coli, or no, to track their leafy vegetables. So if you're a grower, you're going to check in, this grew on my land, click, and it went to this processing company, it went to this truck, this box, into this store, and you think, this is great, they're using blockchain, great technology. No, Walmart's more clever than that. They're doing it because next time there's an E. coli scare, they can say, oh, where'd you buy it from? You bought it from the store over in Beechwood. Okay, great. We'll get rid of all of that. We'll take the chain back to who's the trucking company? Any boxes on that truck, get rid of it. We'll get rid of every that went through the processing plant back to the farms, and you'll just get rid of that slice of it and save themselves tens, if not millions of dollars. And at the same time, when Safeway and the other stores have to destroy all their lettuce, the Walmart guy's calling them saying, hey, guess what? I got romaine over here. It's going to cost you twice as much because you can't do without it. You need it. So these are the kind of opportunities that come up. These are million-dollar opportunities. These are great businesses, right, that you have. So the real question about blockchain, I don't want to go into the tech stuff, is you got to look at, in the industry, if you want to do a startup, or be an entrepreneur, is what problem does it solve? What can it do better? Where people are paying money, and how can we kind of move through that? And how can I build a company around it? And you're seeing examples. There's like a little culture starting to rise around here in Cleveland around the blockchain, which we're part of. Examples, they say it's going to be a $16 trillion industry. So 2008, something's invented. So we're here 10 years later, and they're going to say it's a $16 trillion industry, and it's just getting off the ground right now. Right? This is the opportunity for you guys, is to find these opportunities and create something. And you're the generation that's going to do it, right? Because you're the one that's living it. You think about ID management, you think about healthcare, you think about anything where you're trusting somebody else to say who you are, what you do. This is the opportunity for you. BlockLand, boom, that woke you up. So about 5 months ago, a group of us got here together in the city and said, what can we do to turn the economy around in Cleveland? Right? If you look back at the 1950 census, Cleveland had 975,000 people in it, and it was the 7th largest city in the United States. The most recent census is 350,000 people, and it's the 2nd largest state of Ohio. So where do all the people go? The jobs, they went to California. I went there, we all went. We moved out because there weren't jobs. So BlockLand really is the opportunity. Can we reinvent the Cleveland economy around blockchain technologies? And that's the vision. We want to become a tech center of excellence where we're building all these different nodes and put them in place that say, hey, the universities are teaching blockchain technologies. The entrepreneurs, there's funds available to start companies. There are customers that are coming in. All these different pieces are in play right now to make it easier for you to start a blockchain company. Think about it. Final thought. And I give a lot of talks at various entrepreneur programs in various colleges. People say, why? I can't do it, it's not me. I started my entrepreneur journey late in life after Intel. And I started 3 companies. And I kicked myself. I wish I'd have done it sooner. Because I can tell you right now from the top, it's better to have no boss than to have a boss, right? I have my own company. I'm the boss. Oh, I came in a half hour late. There's no one to yell at me. I came in a half hour late, big deal, right? I mean, there's an advantage to that. When you work at a company, you're someone's telling you what to do. So think about that, and remember this, right? Amateurs built the Ark, and the professionals built the Titanic. Yeah, ooh, right? I mean, you can do this. This is what this is about. You have to just find that opportunity and be brave and take the chance, ask the questions, and go for it.